circumstances that were bad, that I considered bad, you would probably consider horrific. Way up from 18 months old up until 3 to 4 year old, Dean was showing extreme behaviours. He was excessively volatile with the boys here. Ashton was only a baby. Dean used to wrap him up in carpet, sit on him, try to smother him, even at 4 year old. Dean is 6'3" and 150 kilos. Dean has ADD, ODD, ADHD, POBD, Asperger's, anxiety, and his OHS, extreme violent risk. Our situation from the beginning of last year, where we had SWAT teams in the house, to being able to have you here and Dean actually having a sleep and being happy for you to be in his home, we've had to fight for that.
The Southern Suburbs Integrated Case Management Project is a pilot that was initiated by the government agencies in the Illawarra. It was started in 2009 and it targets families that are impacted by domestic violence and housing sustainability issues. The families have to consent to become involved and agree to be part of a negotiated case plan. They also have to have evidence of being frequently encountered. So these are the families that are the most complex, that are at the top of the pyramid and have had a range of issues, whether mental health, drug and alcohol, poverty, unemployment, as well as the core entry criteria, which is the DV and homelessness.
To have families sign those documents and open up their life to us. There is a lot of dark secrets and people hiding things in the closets that do come out during that time. So I can only imagine how those people would feel sitting in a meeting. To make that step, they obviously want to change.
Sometimes it's worth offering one chance past the last chance, because it's sometimes when people have a very messy situation that they're from, it's the point at which they engage is beyond what most services would say, well, 3 strikes, you're out. These are families that require people to sort of say, well, to be patient, to not personalise it, to support each other, and this is where the integrated case management works, to support each other, sort of saying, take a deep breath and saying, well, they're back, let's have another go.
Integrated case management is a way of working together. It's a mindset. It's a little trickier than some other ways of working together because what it demands is a commitment from agencies to behave differently.
Around clients who would only be able to be active.
These families get offered 6 months case management intervention. We bring together a range of government and non-government agencies that have worked with a family. We align a lead agency who is responsible to chair and document the meetings, and we also attach a key contact worker, and that worker is the person that has the trust and relationship with the family and supports and assists the family to actually become involved with the plan and participate and go to meetings and address whatever they need to do and have agreed to in the plans.
Everyone just come in, open up their documents and laid it on the table, and we could actually get a bigger picture of what was actually going on, basically cut down that red tape and be able to provide information. And that's for us as well, to be able to provide criminal history in relation to young people and all like that, be able to bring that out and talk about it openly in a group with other people from different services is quite unique.
The starting point of the family and the family's view of what their needs and their strengths are is such an important starting point, because professionals can sit around the table and say what they think the family needs, but at the end of the day, if the plan that's being developed doesn't fit the picture that the family has of themselves and how they want to look and how they want to be, then it's simply not going to work. So I think that's very challenging for professionals to start out from that point of view that maybe the client knows better than we do.
Once CISM sort of started to progress, each person that was involved in the family at that level, like as in a health professional or something similar, had to be accountable. So they had to explain what they were and weren't doing to meet certain criteria with the family for outcomes. Like, you know, we'd say this is a problem, how are we going to fix that problem to get to this particular outcome we wanted? We've sort of had no contact for some time. I know that she was off and she was busy and different things happening. I just thought that's one thing we have to chase up, but I'm not sure if
Yeah.
working with the whole family and working with other agencies is difficult, is that it is uncomfortable, is that you sometimes feel put on the spot, or the other agencies might think you're the bad guy. You might even sort of miss doing some work on other cases that also have merit while you're working in this particular model. But it's worthwhile, because when all those parties are talking to each other, is that you have a client who doesn't have to keep telling their story, who doesn't have to keep going from door to door, where there's understanding all the way around, and that each step that they take makes sense towards a goal that they have, and so they own it.
Dean came through our kitchen, grabbed the butcher's knife and went up the hallway to go for Ashton. I'd called the police because Dean was slowly escalating. I'd walked up the hallway, my mum had just arrived. As I walked up the hallway, I saw James go to apprehend Dean with the knife and knew he couldn't physically hold him, because when Dean goes off, it's like his strength of 20 men. I grabbed James's hand where Dean had the butcher's knife, but luckily the police arrived at that precise moment. He was took under Section 20 into Wollongong Hospital. He had to go in the lock-up cell. In the back of the hospital, they've got like a soft cell where they put prisoners, etc. That's where Dean went with the police guard. So by the time the psychologist came down to have a chat to Dean, Dean was asleep. And Dean had forgotten everything that had happened. And they told me to put him in the car and bring him home. Well, I wasn't having that. I was not bringing him home, so I refused to leave.
I think that government and non-government agencies have quite a lot of interactions, but it's probably rare that they work together on the same page. The service system is really like a jigsaw puzzle box. There's lots and lots of pieces in there. They've all been cut and coloured for a particular purpose, and then we try and make them fit. From a family's perspective, they don't separate out their issues the way professionals do. So when they're confronted by a service system that is designed and delivered in a siloed, specialised way, it's very difficult for families to relate to those services. And hence you will often find that where there are families with multiple and complex needs, service providers will describe them as very difficult to engage.
I sat on the floor at Wollongong Hospital with the yellow pages and a mobile phone, and I rang every single number. And if they would not do what I needed them to do, I would ring the next and the next and the next. I rang members of Parliament in the Illawarra. I rang every number I could, because there wasn't just one place I could go to find the information that I needed.
Integrated case management helps families make sense of the service system. And it does that in a way that it brings those various pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together.
I rang Department of Community Services. They, at that time, told me that they couldn't do anything. Department of Community Services basically was a retrieval. You know, if you want us to come and get him and take him away, fine, we'll come and get him. I said, I don't want you to come and get him. I want help. I want assistance. I want something for this boy. I want assistance for him. Why should I have to give him up? Because you can't tell me where to go, or you can't show me where there's other services. And that was the main argument. And that was the answer I got off most people all the time. The only option I had was to give him up, and I refused, because as I said to him, I should be able to help this child and keep my family together without having to make a choice I don't want to make. Why can't you find the services available in the Illawarra to assist your family without having to make a decision to give your child up because there's nothing out there?
When we look at CISM and the interventions we do, we're really addressing the needs of every family member, and often the mothers, because we are looking at single households, are so overwhelmed with dealing with the issues on a day-to-day basis. It's very hard to do goal setting, and agencies such as family support workers who are able to sit next to the mums and actually provide them with ongoing information, support, encouragement makes a major difference.
I think it's difficult to say thank you, but encompass what I'm trying to say with thank you, because I don't want to tear up and get upset. But family support service especially, I couldn't have survived that last year without their support, and not just their supporting what they did for us through CISM or directing us with assistance, etc. They genuinely care. And at that time I needed someone that would listen, and they were there for us completely, not just me, not just Dean, but for our entire family. So I thank you. I do tend to make sure things happen, and I ask for help, and if that doesn't help me I go to somebody else, and if it isn't good enough they get told it's not good enough. There's thousands of other people here in the Illawarra that would not be as, well, tenacious as I am. Even though CISM program obviously has helped us eventually throughout that 6 months and has gained a lot of different organisations being involved with the family, I really don't think you should have to go to that extreme to be able to access those types of assistance.
Were all the cases successful? No. Were some of them? Absolutely. And if we can work towards those people and see that that kind of program does help a small amount, we can only see that, a small minority may flow on to a large majority later on.
CISM has been a model where, from the top down, workers at the coalface have been given permission to make the pieces of that puzzle fit. And we haven't always had that. So it will continue to be a challenge to grow integrated case management within agencies as well as between agencies. So with moving forward with integrated case management, I'm sure we've got a lot of goodwill.
And by working with the family is that you change the course of a life, of all the lives of that family. If you just work with an individual, and you may work effectively with them, they still, after they leave your office, still step back into a family that is failing.
We've sort of come out the end of CISM, I don't know, a lot more relaxed. We've got most of the outcomes were reached. We've got our family together still at the end.